Archaic Records.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Archaic Records here with you again. My name is Jamie, coming at you from Nashville, Tennessee. Here to wish you a very happy Morrissey Monday, a celebration of all things Morrissey and the Smiths. Well, it's the same old song and dance for Mr. Steve because, as I'm sure you're all well aware of by now, Morrissey has officially canceled the North American leg of his 2025 spring tour after just 3 shows. The tour kicked off as scheduled on April 26th in Reno, Nevada. After that, Morrissey played a sold-out show on April 28th in Fresno, California. Now, when this tour was originally announced, of course, I was very excited about it. I always am. I'd planned on taking the trip up to St. Louis, actually today. Today is the date of the St. Louis show. It is May 12th, but I was very excited to go up there, see the show, kick around the city a little bit. But when this tour was originally announced, and I was sort of studying the dates, and in particular, a few of the cities that Morrissey would be performing in on this current run, I could not help but wonder to myself if Morrissey is, as it pertains to the current state of his career, if Morrissey is a guy that is at all capable of taking an honest look into the mirror. In other words, is there any authentic inventory being taken? Because if you look at things as they stand, Morrissey's current band on their best day, I would say, are marginal. I think that most fans would agree that they don't necessarily love Jesse Tobias or the direction in which he has taken the band. Morrissey, for the life of him, cannot secure a record contract. He is hemorrhaging fans, and even in an industry that is oftentimes referred to as one of the slimiest in human history, Morrissey is often thought of as a pariah. Now, having said all that, he is the frontman of the greatest band of all time. I mean, between the Smiths and Morrissey's solo catalog, he has released between 8 and 10 of the greatest albums ever recorded. Yet, where do we find him in 2025? Hello, Bakersfield! So good to be here with you tonight. Even the people in Bakersfield are looking around at each other in confusion. Is he talking to us? Hey man, we don't even want to be here. This is a guy that throughout the course of his career has played his music in front of millions of people in some of the world's most exotic locales, and yet nowadays is slinging shirts in the home of the American Methamphetamine Museum. My question is, does Morrissey recognize this? Or is he so deluded that he actually believes his own rhetoric? Do you believe that Morrissey actually believes that he has been blackballed by the music industry because he and his opinions are too dangerous? I've got news for you, son. You aren't that dangerous. You're that old weird guy in the park who's yelling at the bench. People want to walk by and give you their sympathy. This is the recording industry, my friend. They would give Hitler a contract if they thought that he could push units. The truth is, you're just not commercially viable. You're not commercially viable enough to be put up with. I imagine these record companies that Morrissey has been soliciting over the last several years, and they look at him, and they look at his margins, and they think to themselves, no, man, I'm good. I don't need this headache. I am not going to deal with this queen. Anyway, on April 30th, Morrissey did play Bakersfield, California. After the show, Morrissey became ill. I mean, he was on death's door. Now, in fairness to Steve, I have been to Bakersfield on a few different occasions, and I can tell you that it's never failed to make me sick either. But the funny thing about Morrissey and his ailments is, he never ends up with the sniffles. He always ends up in the intensive care unit. I get the sense that Morrissey is the type of guy who stubs his toe and then walks around in a boot for 3 months. But after the show, in Bakersfield, Morrissey becomes ill and is admitted into the hospital, at which point in time, he immediately cancels the next 2 shows, one on May 1st in San Diego, California, and the other on May 3rd in Riverside, California. Now, at this point in time, It is announced by Morrissey and his team that the tour is going to reconvene on May 5th in Tucson, Arizona. Now, I will say this. For those of us living out here in the central and eastern part of the United States, by the time the tour got canceled, we had been given a little bit of notice, but you can't say the same thing for the poor saps in Tucson who were literally being turned away as they showed up at the venue. I mean, that is a dick move. Even for Morrissey standards, I've said this on this channel many times in the past, it is a romantic idea that fans have that these artists care half as much about us as we do about them. And I don't think that the artists are under any obligation. Now, some of them will pay lip service. Morrissey, no. Morrissey doesn't play that game. He doesn't give a shit, and he doesn't pretend to. But you would think that as a courtesy, you would at least have enough respect for people and their time to provide them with a heads up. This was not done. So it would appear to me that common courtesy, even something like common courtesy, is too much of a chore for these buttwads. The same thing can be said about the show out here in St. Louis, the show that was supposed to take place today at a place called The Factory up in St. Louis. There wasn't an announcement made by Morrissey's team or the venue. All the venue did, the Factory in St. Louis, Missouri, was they passive-aggressively slid the date back in their calendar. There was never an announcement made. I had to go in and dig through the venue's calendar just to sort of find out that the show had been postponed. Now, speaking of postponement dates, there has been a series of dates that have been released by the Morrissey camp in terms of getting this tour rescheduled once Morrissey's back up on his feet again. The show that was supposed to take place on May 1st in San Diego is now scheduled for January 6th. The show in Riverside, California that was supposed to take place on May 3rd is now rescheduled for October 24th. The show that was supposed to take place on May 5th in Tucson, the show that people were literally being turned away at the door, is now rescheduled for October 21st. The May 8th show that was supposed to take place in San Antonio is now rescheduled for January 10th. The May 10th show that was supposed to happen in Oklahoma City is now scheduled for January 13th. The show out here in St. Louis that was originally scheduled for today, May 12th, is now rescheduled for January 15th. The show that was supposed to take place in Atlanta on May 14th is now scheduled for January 17th. The show that was supposed to take place on May 16th in St. Petersburg, Florida is now scheduled for January 20th, and the show that was originally scheduled for May 17th in Hollywood, Florida is scheduled for January 22nd. I can tell you right now that none of those shows are going to happen. Don't hold your breath. That's my advice. Now, after the announcement of the tour had been canceled, or there has not, still to date, there has not been an actual announcement that the tour had been canceled. But once I was able to ascertain the fact that the tour had been canceled, I did something that I normally don't ever do. I did go on YouTube because I wanted to see a little bit of the footage from the show in Reno. And I got to tell you that, honestly, despite the fact that the band sounded as sloppy as ever, I thought that Morrissey looked good. There was no indication that the Grim Reaper was standing right behind him, and he sounded good. I also went online and I sort of checked the set list to sort of see what the tour was going to look like this year. Again, this is something that I would normally never do if the shows were going on as scheduled, but since the shows had been canceled, curiosity got the best of me. I have to know what I'm missing. And honestly, I thought that the set list for the show, now this is the set list for the opening night in Reno, Nevada. I thought that the set list actually for this year, man, I thought it actually looked pretty snug. Now, he came out and he opened with the song You're the One for Me, Fatty, which is something that I've talked about on this channel. Not my favorite live song of all time, especially as a show opener, although I will say this, and I've said this before, if you're going to have to sit through You're the One for Me, Fatty, which I've always said is sort of the solo equivalent to Girlfriend in a Coma, I mean, to get it over with early in the show is something that is a premium. I don't necessarily want it to be the opening song of the show, because for me, the opening song of a show, it really sets the mood. It gets everything going. And for me, You're the One for Me, Fatty is just like a buzzkill. After that, he played the song All You Need Is Me. Oh my God, I love that song. I love Years of Refusal. I mean, All You Need Is Me might actually be one of my favorite songs off of Years of Refusal. Now, for me, Years of Refusal is a very important album in Morrissey's catalog because to me, I think of Years of Refusal as being the last classic Morrissey album that he's ever released. Now, I'm not talking about last good album. I'm talking about the last classic album because most of the records that he's released since Years of Refusal, with the exception, I would say, of World Peace, they're all good. But this one is a classic. I remember when Years of Refusal first came out back in 2009, of course, I bought it immediately. But when that record was announced, my expectations for that record were a little bit tempered because, I never really got super into Ringleader of the Tormentors, and I've had this conversation with people in the past, and people always disagree with that. They always think I'm a chud because I think of Ringleader of the Tormentors as one of my weaker albums in Morrissey's catalog. Now, I will say this, when Ringleader of the Tormentors came out, my expectations were way up here because You Are the Quarry is one of the greatest albums ever made, and I was hoping that he was going to come back out and he was going to put out something that, at least in my opinion, was as good as You Are the Quarry. Ringleader of the Tormentors was totally disappointing to me, so when Years of Refusal came out, I was like, we'll see. We'll see. Could it be You Are the Quarry? It could be Ringleader of the Tormentors. And to me, the first time I listened to that record, it absolutely blew me away. To me, it is one of the best records he ever did. I love it. It's loud, it's clanky, it's bratty, it's snotty. I love it. It's one of my favorite records in Morrissey's catalog. The next song after that he played was another song I love off of Years of Refusal, One Day Goodbye Will Be Farewell. Man, I actually love that song. That album, to me, that album, Years of Refusal, man, that album doesn't have like a single piece of clunkage on the whole thing. That thing you can sit down and listen to start to finish, even as old as that record is now. After that, he played Shoplifters of the World. Then he played I Wish You Lonely, which, is a song, I've talked about this before. On the Low in High School album, I think it's a good song. I like the studio version of that song. Low in High School to me it's kind of a middle of the road, kind of back middle of the road album as far as I'm concerned in Morrissey's catalog. And that song on the album is good. I like it, but man, live, that song has like an energy. It's awesome. It's actually become one of my favorite live songs in Morrissey's current, staple. After that, he played a song that kind of surprised me, that being Best Friend on the Payroll off of Southpaw Grammar. Now, that is a song I know for a fact that I've never seen live. And although I've said this before, people always think I'm a toad when I say this, but Southpaw Grammar is probably my least favorite Morrissey album in his entire catalog. But man, I would love to see any song that I've never seen live. Best Friend on the Payroll? No, it's not necessarily my favorite song of all time, but it's a song I've never seen live. I'd love to see it. I said this about the shows last year in 2024. I mean, one of the surprises about the shows last year in 2024, and it was a positive surprise, despite the fact that it's actually my least favorite Morrissey song ever, was last year he played Dear God, Please Help Me, and that's a song I don't like at all. I remember when he started playing that song, I said to myself, oh my God, this is awesome. I hate that song, just because I don't think I had ever seen it live before. After that, he played Hand in Glove, which is awesome. I actually did watch some performances of that song from the Reno show. Now, I'm saying this hypocritically. I did go and watch a lot of the stuff on YouTube from the Reno show. Now, of course, at the shows, I was going to the show tonight, I never would have done that. I wouldn't even have known what was on the set list. But, I was watching these videos on YouTube, and I always say this, I hate when people have their phones up in shows, but then I'm watching the stuff online. So I'm a hypocrite. I acknowledge that. After that, he played the song Rebel Without Applause, which, I love that song. To me, that is one of the best new songs he's done. Probably in the last 5 or 10 years, I love that song. I never get sick of it. One of my few sort of quibbles with the tour last year was when he played the song Rebels Without Applause, which he did not play in 2023. I was super bummed that he did not play that song in 2023. So when he brought it back out last year, the band, I saw that tour 2 nights. I saw that tour in Birmingham, Alabama, and then I saw that tour in Indianapolis. And when the band played that song early on in the tour in Birmingham, Alabama. I thought it was really good. The second night I saw that tour in Indy, the band was just super flat. Even Morrissey himself, he was talking about the fact that he wasn't feeling well. I'm kind of surprised he wasn't in the hospital, to be perfectly honest with you. After that, he played, of course, The Telephone Rings. I've seen that song live 4 times. To me, it's not really a song that I like. I would say by the end of the tour in 2024, having seen that song now live 4 times, it's sort of grown on me a little bit, but still sort of a song that I could live without. For me, if I were ever going to take a beer and piss break during a Morrissey show, which I never would, but for me, that is easily one of the beer and piss break songs. After that, he played another song that I don't think he's played in quite a while, that being Istanbul. I love that song also. After that, he played Black Cloud from Years of Refusal. He definitely hit Years of Refusal pretty heavily on, or he was planning on hitting Years of Refusal pretty heavily on this tour. Like I said, to me, I love that album. To me, it is a classic. It's the last classic Morrissey album. After that, he played a song that oftentimes gets me in trouble with my fellow Morrissey fans. He played the song Life is a Pigsty. To me, it's not really a song that I love. Again, I've talked about this ad nauseum about Ringleader of the Tormentors. To me, it's the disappointing album. Life is a Pigsty. If you like that song, it's awesome. I'm not sitting here saying you're wrong. I'm not trying to throw rocks at you. For me, Life is a Pigsty is not necessarily my favorite song. Not a song that I need to see live at this point in time. After that, he played Every Day Is Like Sunday. I've talked about that's my all-time favorite song ever. I never don't want to see that song. I realize I'm generic Jim Johansson, but it is my favorite song of all time. After that, he played The Loop, which is a great live song, but not quite as good. Not quite as good as the song after that, which is Speedway. I mean, to me, you talk about the best live Morrissey songs in his canon. Man, Speedway, that one's up there. That is one of my favorite live songs. I never get tired of that song. My favorite Morrissey video ever is the live video, which was taken off of the DVD of him performing Speedway. Oh my God. After that, he played the song Scandinavia, which is a song that I like enough. I think it would be a cool song to see live. After that, he played the song I Know It's Over, which he dedicated to his career. After that, man, another one of the greatest live songs in Morrissey's canon, that being Jack the Ripper. I've told this story many times on this channel in the past. I never get tired of telling it. I never get tired of telling stories, and you probably get tired of listening to my stories, but I never get tired of telling these stories. In 2023, when Morrissey played here in Nashville at the Fisher Center, he came out and he played Jack the Ripper as the encore, I think it was. It was either the encore or the song that ended the main part of the set, and he just blew the place up with smoke. And of course, if you've ever seen Jack the Ripper live, you know it has a very dramatic stage presentation. It's got the bright red lights and the smoke, and it's just killer. But he sort of overdid it at the Fisher Center in Nashville, and it ended up setting off the smoke detectors, and the house lights came up, and man, it just sort of killed the buzz, because I was all in on that song as he's playing that song. I'm always all in when it comes to Jack the Ripper. After the sort of the smoke alarm and all that situation sort of, got remedied, he came out on stage and he made a joke, which I actually thought was very comical. He talked about the fact that there must be somebody from Capitol Records in the building, and they were here to sabotage the show. He ended the set with a song off of Ringleader of the Tormentors, Far Off Places. That is a song on Ringleader that I really like a lot. Now, I don't hate the album Ringleader of the Tormentors. I don't ever mean for it to come across like that. For me, it's just one of the lesser albums in Morrissey's catalog. I think that album, and I did a whole episode on the album Ringleader of the Tormentors, and I sort of beat this point to death, because honestly, any dead horse worth beating is worth beating beyond recognition. But that album, Ringleader of the Tormentors, I think, in my opinion, that album suffers from, sort of unfair expectations, because it came out after You Are the Quarry, which to me is a top 5 Morrissey album of all time. And all I was asking, Steve, was that you put out another album in succession that was as good as that, as if that isn't the most unreasonable request you can imagine. But I remember when Ringleader of the Tormentors came out, I mean, I buy all these albums the day they come out. That's never the issue. I always say, I bought this album the day it came out. I always do, but I bought the album the day it came out. And I mean, I literally sprinted home. Can you imagine my fat ass sprinting around Seattle? Well, I was. I couldn't wait to get home and listen to this record. And I put it on, and I listened to it, and I stared intently at my speakers, and I waited for it to jump out at me. And the first time it sort of failed to do that. So I pushed play again, and I waited again, and it sort of failed to do that, and I pushed play again. And I probably listened to this album 4 or 5 times the day I got it, and it just never really leapt out at me. Now, it's an album that I like enough. It's definitely been a slow burn, even to get to the point where it is in my sort of Morrissey ranking, but it is not an album that I dislike. People, I think, always misinterpret that when what I say about Ringleader of the Tormentors, that I don't like it, but I do. It's fine. After that, Morrissey came out for the encore. He did a 1-song encore last night. I Dreamt That Somebody Loved Me. Oh my God, I love that song. I absolutely love Strange Ways, Here We Come. I think everybody that is a Smiths or Morrissey fan would agree that that album is the jugs. I mean, the only thing about that album that I don't like, the one reason why I think that that album is a big step down from The Queen is Dead, I've said this a million times, is because I just don't really like the song Girlfriend in a Coma. I never have. I don't know. It's a song that sort of is a tiebreaker, because I do think that in a lot of ways, Strange Ways is almost as good as The Queen is Dead, but just not quite. I do love that song. Last night I Dreamt Somebody Loved Me. So, man, it's sort of a shame that this tour got canceled, because seeing a lot of these songs live would have been awesome. I love Years of Refusal. Having him hit 3 or 4 songs off of Years of Refusal would have been absolutely snug. Like I said, even seeing a song like Last Friend on the Payroll would have been awesome. Seeing Istanbul would have been really cool. Scandinavia would have been really cool. And Last Night I Dreamt Somebody Loved Me. Those are all songs that I would love to see live. Even Hand in Glove, which I do believe I have seen live. Now, I have all my set lists written down somewhere in this mess, because I did an episode not too long ago where I ranked my experiences, at least seeing Morrissey live. And I'm pretty sure that I have seen Hand in Glove before, but man, I never get tired of hearing that song. Anyway, Morrissey has made a little bit of news over the last day or two. I think it was announced today, as a matter of fact. Morrissey will be playing a show, supposedly, on September 12th in Ottawa, Canada. That is a Saturday, so if you live in Ottawa, first off, my condolences. Although I have heard that Ottawa is really beautiful that one day a year, but Morrissey will be playing the City Folk Festival. He will be headlining on Saturday, September 12th, along with James and the band Devil Makes 3. So there you go. Morrissey will supposedly be in Ottawa, Canada on September 12th. So if you are in the area, stop by to watch Morrissey not show up. God damn it, Steve. You see what you done? Now I'm making those jokes. You've turned me into a social media cliche. The good news is that James is a great band. They are a great live band. My wife and I just went to go see James in San Francisco in September when he played with Johnny Marr. And man, they were snug. So if you have not seen James, definitely get there early enough to see them. Now, the Devil Makes 3. Man, that band stinks, and they always have stunk. So good luck with that. I will say that this announcement that Morrissey made, I think today, that he's playing the show in September in Ottawa, Ontario, has not gone over very well by the fans, judging by the social media comments that he's receiving in return. I don't know. Does he care? I don't know. I don't think he really cares. I don't think he sees this shit. I think he has a team of people that deal with it, and I don't think that he pays any mind to it. And in a way, I think that that's kind of cool and admirable. So anyway, go see him in September in Ottawa. I won't be there. I can guarantee you that. Anyway, man, this is Archaic Records. My name is Jamie, coming at you from Nashville, Tennessee. Be sure to go out and support your local record store, like Variety Records in Columbia, Tennessee. Check back for Morrissey Monday, a celebration of all things Morrissey and the Smiths. as well as other record content and album reviews throughout the week. And, I mean, unless you've got anything else, I think that that's just about going to do her. So until next time, my friends, talk to you then.